And responding to that call, a collection of British Catholic foot soldiers who've been preparing the way for the papal visit and who are not afraid to get right into the thick of it.
What's Catholic Voices about?
It's about creating a bureau of speakers who are ready to go into a TV or radio studio at a moment's notice when the Pope's here to discuss almost anything.
So are you the Catholic Malcolm Tucker?
You could put it that way. The Catholic Church is Alistair Campbell. OK, let's... a few of you, I think 4 of you, have been involved in interviews since we last gathered. Neil, you did your...
I did warm up to it, I did enjoy it, but it was just me in the interview, so I was quite...
It's quite intense.
It was quite intense, but it was very easy for me to dominate the facts, if that makes sense.
And in among the volunteers, 2 young feminists who are, pretty broadly speaking, on message.
We don't have a lot of guidance these days about, how to live. It's sort of anything goes. And there is one man who is there and he's prepared to tell you sometimes what you don't want to hear, but he'll tell you the truth. And that's a really, personally for me, I think that's a really positive thing, especially for my generation.
Bonnie, you're recently married and
Yes.
You took your honeymoon in Rome. Are you, in your married life, prepared to follow the Church's teaching absolutely to the letter of the law? And many people would think that might mean the risk of quite a large family.
My husband and I are practicing natural fertility management, and it's very simple. It takes barely any time at all.
How does it work?
And, well, you observe your tissue when you go to the loo, basically, very quickly, and then you write your assessment down on the chart at the end of the day. And it's something that couples are encouraged to do together, so there's no sort of awkward moment at the end of the evening where the husband kind of looks coyly at the wife and says, are we on tonight or not?
OK, let's put your Catholic Voices credentials to the test here. 2 or 3 absolute classic things which are bound to get thrown at you. The Pope's caused the death of thousands and thousands of people in Africa because you can't use condoms and AIDS spreads when people don't wear condoms.
The Church is on the ground in Africa. All AIDS provision practically is provided by the Church. In major cities, we provide about 40%. Certainly, the further away you get from the cities, it's up to 100%. The Church knows AIDS.
OK, one thing you might get, Madeleine, will be, there are so many poor people in the world, and look at all those treasures in the Vatican and all these jewellery and gold they all have. Why don't they just sell it all and implement the gospel on the ground?
Oh, please, that's the worst question.
But tonight, and not for the first nor the last time, a familiar subject forced its way back onto the agenda.
Jack was in the studio on the big question with people who'd been abused by priests. What do you say? It's very difficult. I think you have to initially be compassionate, because the danger is if you're not compassionate, you're made the scapegoat for whatever the issue is.
Yes.
So suddenly you're not a spokesperson.
You've both been chosen to get out the good news about the Catholic Church. This sex abuse crisis must have come at the most terrible time, because you've got all these messages you're trying to get out, and then all you're getting is these torpedoes flying at you all over the place. That must be really difficult.
Well, in one way, it's a blessing, because it does give us the opportunity to point out some of the facts about this issue. It's terrible. It's a terrible scandal. But a lot of these scandals are old scandals, and generally the public isn't interested in hearing about how the Church has reformed itself over the last 3 to 10 years.
Harnessing the spiritual zeal of a few dozen true believers is one thing, but can this aging Pope really stir up the fire of faith in the very continent he feels has lost its way?